Good morning, welcome. It is coffee time with Coach Jah. I'm your host, Coach Jah, in the building. It is an amazing Tuesday morning. I think it's Tuesday. We're getting ready to get rid of our favorite president in the entire world. It's gonna be it's gonna be a circus. It's gonna be a circus. He's not gonna walk them out. I don't even know how the briefing and stuff went. I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna sit at the TV, watch CNN with popcorn all day. I'm just gonna pop popcorn. It's gonna be a movie theater in my home because I'm gonna sit there and watch the whole thing. That's just what it's going to be. I promise you that. Anyway, Teresa, good morning to you. Thanks for being here. Listen, I am feeling really energetic today. I'm really happy about these moments in my life right now. I'm going to residency today for the first time. This COVID thing has to go. Whoever started COVID, look, it's over. I'm over. I'm done with COVID. I am done. I don't want to hear, see, talk about it no more. I'm done with it. I promise you I'm done with it. Anyway, it's not about me today. Y'all know. Right. We got to get rid of it. We have to get rid of it. I don't know how. Why don't we just take Lysol and put it in all the military helicopters and just spray everything? That would help, right? Can't we do that? Like they just drop. Like it's not warfare if it's Lysol. Like it's help. Anyway, welcome to the show and coming in. Listen, I got two amazing guests coming in. I'm gonna bring them in now and let them introduce themselves. And we're somebody celebrating a birthday today, so you know it's got to be extra super dope and special. So I'm gonna bring my two guests in. Good morning, family. How y'all doing today?
Good morning.
Good. So for y'all on IG, y'all know the deal. If y'all not on YouTube, you're gonna miss parts of it. But I love you still. But you should just come on over to YouTube and let that be that. First of all, let's say happy birthday to Venus. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Sis, thank you.
Look, you look like 25 years old, so that's always good. I know you're only 26, but it's all good. It's all good.
Thank you. Hey, brother.
Hey, happy birthday. Your presence is a present.
Thank you.
We're like having a family reunion, sort of. I'm just hosting a family reunion, if you would. I'm just messing. So let's do this first. Since ladies first, Venus, tell the people your name, who you are, where you're from, and what you do, and then we'll move on to brother after that.
So my name is Venus Allen. If you want to get to know a little bit more about me, venusallen.com. I am from New York, but I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I have lived in different regions of the United States, from Mississippi to Alabama, and I am amongst many things. But the most thing I would like to say is I'm a great resource provider.
Awesome. Well, we all need that, right? I know I need somebody to listen. Anyway, get out of me. My brother Wahidi, how you doing, brother? Tell people where you from. Tell them what you do so they can step into your world.
My name's Wahidi, and from Biloxi, Mississippi, born and raised. I live in Lincoln, Nebraska now, so I'm and chef, but I'm also a facilitator of growth within the community. I work for the University of Nebraska, and that's it. I just try to connect people and facilitate growth.
Got you. So 2 questions I want to ask you. How long? Okay, so Nebraska, you like football?
Somewhat. It's a leisure sport, but
Got you. How did you become a chef? Because you don't wake up one morning, I don't think, and say, hey, I just want to be a chef. Did somebody make you a bad meal? You said, you know what, I'm just gonna cook from here out, or something happened?
Believe it or not, it was inherited. So my grandfather he actually worked for the sheriff department full time, but he was a chef at one point early on in his life, and just always a really good cook. And then my father was a chef in the Marine Corps, and then he became a merchant marine and cooked on ships, so forth and so on.
Wow.
So I came by it very honest. Food was very much one of the central things in my upbringing. That's, the whole family came together. That's typical of anybody in our community. So,
favorite dish to cook? What is that?
Gumbo. It's the most American dish there is. Yeah, it represents the entirety of America. So gumbo is one of those dishes that's really important.
Got you. So Venus, have you had this gumbo, and does it make your heart dance?
I don't know. I can't remember. Because I cook gumbo too. Our grandmother cooked gumbo. Our father cooked gumbo, and so I cooked a lot when I wasn't a chef. When I was in middle school, so he's probably had my gumbo. So
how about we do a gumbo competition, and I'll be the host. judge. If nobody else gets any, just me. I'm just gonna be the only judge. Like, and I'm just gonna eat until my heart's content. We could do that.
Yeah,
that's a deal.
I am a foodie, so I love to eat food. Y'all heard me ranting about pork. I don't do the pork thing. So let's talk about, what are your favorite dishes to eat, even if you're not cooking it? What is your favorite? Both of you, what's the favorite? Your hands down, your favorite dish?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti.
Actually.
Pasta fiend, yeah.
Spaghetti, gumbo. And I think the third would be what would the third be? Stewed chicken.
Stewed chicken,
yeah. Yeah.
With the black peas and rice and cabbage and plantains.
Well, Heidi, what do you think? What's your top dishes to have? Doesn't matter who makes it.
Yeah, that's tough. I guess what I could do is, so my grandfather was a true Creole. And so we grew up with originally his family is from the Bahamas. He came to the States from the Bahamas. And so I grew up eating a lot of Creole inspired food, but then I'm also classically trained in French. So European influence is kind of, but I'm a country boy at heart. So grits, I love grits. I feel like grits are underrepresented everywhere, all of those grain foods, grits, anything with rice, jambalaya, jollof rice, fried rice. I'm a rice guy. Most importantly, probably just a simple roast chicken. It's something people can't get right. And you could tell a lot. Julia Child said you could tell a lot about a chef by how he roasts his chicken. So if you can't make a Sunday roast, if you can't just prepare simple roast chicken well, then you're missing the fundamentals. So for me, I'm a traditionalist like that.
First of all, you went to Julia Child. That just takes me back. Like, I don't know if y'all old enough to know who Julia Child is. Google her, okay? Because she came on with that accent, you didn't know half of what she was saying, but you watched it, right? Listen, I'm from New York City, born and raised in New York City. We had grits always. So here's my question for both of you: sugar or cheese in your grits?
Cheese.
Yeah, for me, cheese. Gouda cheese.
I love Gouda. See, I didn't want to have to hang up on y'all. That's why I needed to know this now. You just said sugar, I would have to hit the button out of here. Since I've been in the South, there's two things that I learned down here that they love. Sweet tea that's pre-diabetic, right? You're going to get diabetes drinking that tea. It's just not happening. I don't care. And they put sugar in their grits. I never understood that.
Sugar goes in cream of wheat and farina.
Cream of wheat and farina, yeah.
Now I haven't had it.
With a little bit of canned milk. You remember that?
Nana.
The canned milk was important.
The evaporated milk with the little.
Just in case anybody want to pull my stripes, it was canned milk.
So there was a time where canned milk, when you didn't have regular milk to make your cereal, you would use canned milk to have your cereal. And I never liked the taste of canned milk. I don't know why. I didn't like milk.
Yeah.
Like, I was not a breastfed baby, unfortunately. And my mom, who's also in here, who's probably going to smack me now that I'm telling this, but my mom used to make me drink a glass of milk, a small cup. But when she went in the room, I just used to throw it behind the refrigerator, because if I turned the water on, she would hear me. I would throw it behind the refrigerator when we lived on Sheffield Avenue. I just was not drinking milk. I can't stand milk. Funny thing is, but I like cereal. But I don't get into, after the cereal's gone, the milk is done. It's got to go out. I can't do it. And then I got into this chocolate milk cake, and I don't know. But milk was just never a thing for me. Fish and grits, I'm fine. But just give me Favorite kind of fish? What we got?
Snapper.
Yeah, there you go.
They said they was brother and sister. I just didn't know. They really brother and sister.
Yeah.
I like grouper. Grouper has been one of my favorites. Snapper definitely, and flounder. Flounder and salmon. Like, I love fish. I can eat fish all day long.
Yeah.
But
I see my best friend in the building.
Look, see? Grouper. It didn't take long to get there. So, question, Venus, you celebrating your birthday, right?
Yes.
What are you doing in that? What are you doing for your birthday? What are you doing in this moment? Where are you in this world?
So right now I'm in Marco Island. Back last month, I Googled like the hottest places in January in the United States, and the Everglades came up. And I'm often in Fort Lauderdale. I'm probably in Florida every 3 months. And so I zoomed in on the Everglades, and I'm like, this is just a bunch of forests. And then I zoomed in, and I said, wait, what is this? There's this little island. And then I said, wait, it says JW Marriott. And so I came. And so I've been here since last week, Thursday, staying at the JW. The sand is white. It's fluffy, like white snow. I've rented a boat 2 different days for a half day, just hanging out. I will be back, but next time I'm going to come to Naples. But it's really low key. It's sort of like Hilton Head. If anybody's been to Hilton Head, it's not a party city, but I needed to come to reset my brain because I'm actually starting a whole new career. So I just needed to clear everything. I needed to get rid of 2020. And so I just came to Marco Island. I would recommend that everyone comes and visit. It's really nice.
Well, how do you travel a lot too? Because Venus is always someplace. I don't think she's in the same place for the whole month.
I travel. It's mainly for obligated things, lectures, stuff like that, but not so much fun. I'm kind of a workaholic. That's my fun. I'm a workaholic, guilty as charged. I get chastised often by Venus and the rest of the family for it. So,
got you. What kind of lectures?
Just a lot of different things. I mean, it depends on the topic. A lot of it is concerning Masonic things. I'm a Mason. I don't know if Venus told you I'm a Mason, so I travel a lot for that. Some things esoteric, some things finance, but just starving for that information. Got to get the keys.
A lot of, especially a lot of Black men, we don't look for information, and there's so much available to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I applaud you on that, because I think like a lot of time, like I learn stuff all the time because I write and I'm trying to find inspiration. I'm always trying to find something to inspire me. And I don't think we do enough research. I know I don't. Mm-hmm. Like if I don't like it, I'm not doing it. In fact, when I was in college, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a journalist. I'm gonna write all these articles and I'm gonna do this and that. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to class and I got my syllabus and I had to write about all the shit that I didn't want to write about, I was like, nah, I'm changing my major. I'm out of here. I'm not doing this, because it was so much. But if it's not something we're interested in, mm-hmm. we're not doing it. Like if the average Black male, if you be like, yo, listen, so-and-so had the best album in the 90s. Mm-hmm. They will research and see if the album was top 100, top 9, you know what I'm saying? And then if you give them something worth value, something that's more, more, especially depending on, what's going on with us today, something that has more validity with what's happening in the world today, we won't do it. We'll take your word for it and just move right past it.
One of the things that's challenging about that is that, we have to keep in mind we were taught to be disinterested. And so that's a very powerful thing. But the other part is, I think, learning is a process, and most people don't realize the more you learn, the more you can learn. And so you have to start small and then build sort of the hunger to do it. It's not really, it's really just about being curious. And that's what most people lack, is curiosity, but it grows from there, I think.
I think we like to skim the surface and then just let it be.
Yeah, I'm gonna just float right there where it's safe. It's like headed to the beach. I don't know what's
right. I know it's cold.
You get it past 4 feet out there at the beach, or you just stay right up at the edge.
I'm not going 3 feet in.
Yeah.
I don't swim.
Yeah.
So I'm not going 3 feet in. And part of the reason, so true story, my aunt Jeannie, she said to me, you should be a merchant marine, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what happens? Like, you got to go out to sea and all this shit. Yeah, you got to learn how to swim and all. I said, whoa. You got to learn how to swim. I said, my stories of people learning how to swim is they throw you in the water. And she said, yep, that's probably it. And I left her home, and that was it. I didn't visit her.
Left her right there. It's funny you say that. I actually had that experience. So I actually went into the oil field, cooked on rigs around the Gulf of Mexico, And I didn't know how to swim until I went into the oil field. And that's exactly what they do. They throw you in the water.
Well, listen, I'll be dead before my body hits the water. My heart would still be on the ship, and the rest of my body just be dead. I just can't. Venus, you swim too?
I do. We all of us in our family do, because my mom and aunts throw us in the water on our first go round. That's a thing. And so only one cousin, one time, my mom had to jump in behind her and go get her because she wouldn't come up. But that we all got initiated in. It was either my mom, my Aunt Janice, or my Aunt Phyllis just throw us in first time.
First of all, my mother took us to the beach. We didn't go to the neighborhood pool unless we snuck and went on our own. My mother took us to the beach, and she wasn't letting nobody throw us in no water. My mother will karate chop you in your throat if you throw her kids in the water. She wasn't playing that.
Well, Memorial Park in Spring Valley, New York, that was the pool, or Bear Mountain. We would go up in Rockland County to Bear Mountain to swim. At early age, we was initiated in.
Wow. Our summer times, we went to Coney Island, and then when Coney Island got really bad, we started going to Rockaway Beach. And that was like the best thing for us. That was the best thing for us. I do not miss the idea of thinking that somebody was going to throw me in the damn water. Just not a favorite thing of mine. Just not. So let's talk about college life. How was college life? I always like to ask people how their schooling was. How was that for you all, both of you?
For me, it was quite the transition. I left New York and went to live with my father, middle school. Then I came back to New York, and then I went back high school, and in Moss Point, Mississippi, on the Gulf Coast. And so I did a college tour. I thought I was going to go to Alabama State, but they partied way too hard, and I knew I would not graduate if I went there. And so I found this university. At the time, it was called Livingston University in Alabama. It used to be an all-white state school. Later, they changed the name to University of West Alabama. And so went there. My first day, I met my best friend who's in here, Bernetta Cowan. She's from the Bahamas. I was from New York. And from day one, we clicked. I also had another friend, and her name was Venus. And so Venus and Venus, she was from Boston. And Bernetta, we ruled the campus. And I finished my bachelor's degree in sociology with the emphasis in criminal justice. And then I went to the same school for a master's degree in psychology. And I lived in Alabama, Tuscaloosa, worked in Birmingham until my mom guilt tripped me back home. So she said, you're supposed to go to college and come and give back to your own community. You're not supposed to go away to college and stay and give back to that community. And so I moved back home, was a shelter director in New York City for years, moved to Charlotte and got a second master's degree in social work from UNCC. So I'm also a Niner. And that's been my college experience. I would have never learned how to deer hunt, eat possum, coon, squirrel, shoot high power rifles. I would have never been to black rodeos. I would have never seen black young people own horses and cattle if I had not combed Alabama, and then learned the life of Mississippi with being on the Gulf Coast, and my father taking me to New Orleans and teaching me about the different cultures and how to fish for crawdaddies and to go out on the pier and to fish with the net. I would have not had those experiences in New York.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of schooling too. And congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know how I did it with all the party.
But you did it. Holly, what about you, bro? How was that schooling for you, man?
It was unique. You know, it's funny because not a lot of the men in our family on my side, you know, none of them really went to college. But for me, college was heaven sent. I was a Hurricane Katrina victim.
Oh wow!
So we were in a FEMA trailer and everything like that, and I was practically just looking for a way out. You know, by that time, Venus long gone, been from the coast, and it kind of turned into the Wild Wild West sort of there. And I was looking for a way out of there, and cooking was the skill that I had. So culinary school was a natural progression. And for me, it was more of a way out. I never thought that it would actually deliver me in certain ways. You know, I kind of was just like, I want to get out of here. This is a skill I have. These people will take me, they'll sell me this overpriced student loan and they'll get me out of here, And so, and what was amazing is when I went there, in a lot of ways, I was one-on-one on campus. Here I am at like one of the most prestigious culinary schools in the country. And of course, there's like hardly any Black people there. There are people from everywhere else, all over the world and all over the country. But most of these kids are there on their parents' trust funds. And for me, it was an experience in the sense that I was already very open-minded, but I was also equally as curious. So when I got to school, for me, it was like a sponge. It was like I soaked up everything. And then my dad had already introduced me to so much culture. My grandfather had already introduced me to so much Caribbean culture that I connected with Orlando, because it was in Orlando, Florida. I connected with the city in such a unique way. And where most people have a progression of this growth spurt, I kind of had this, in like a year's time, I was like, oh yeah, there's a whole world out there. I'm going to get it. So it was a different sort of experience. Food forces you to be open to other people's culture. And when you're open to other people's culture, then you can make a fair assessment of your own.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it was for me. It was less about the food and more about culture grabbing.
Gotcha. When I think of a chef, right? When I first moved to Charlotte, I worked at the convention center uptown. That was my first job. And I was working in the warehouse, but they always gave me overtime to work upstairs in the main kitchen. And I used to work close with the chef. And I used to watch them, take a piece of meat and just chisel. Just chisel the fat off and just all these different things. Every time when somebody says the word chef, I just can I come over? I'm just like, yo, what's for dinner tonight? Because I know. And I expect to see something that I've not seen before. My Uncle Norman, he passed away some years back, and he used to go in the kitchen, and he's from I think he's from Grenada.
Okay.
No, he's from Antigua. That's where he's from.
Okay.
He married my aunt, and he go in the kitchen. 5 minutes later, his food done, and you're like, how the hell did he cook this dish in 5 minutes? It can't. This just got to be raw.
Yeah.
But it's just that, he had this thing. He grew up cooking. That was his thing. And now my little cousin is doing it. When I was in Florida, oh my gosh, she brought me some, is it dungeon crab legs?
Dungeness crab, yeah.
Whatever it was, them big, bro. He said, no, cousin, I want to see you eat this. And I was like, okay. And I tried to eat all of it, and it was too much. It was a big bowl. I got sick. I'm just greedy. Anything that I hear about food and chef, I think about seeing something amazing I haven't seen before, piled on the top of a plate with a little drizzle of some sauce that I'm probably not going to taste ever again in my life. Like, I look at the whole picture. I know it's going to be masterful. Somebody's putting yummy in the timeline. See, this is what I'm talking about. Exactly. Anyway, let's get off of food. Let's talk about dad. Let's talk about your dad. Talk to me about your dad. Tell me about your dad. What's your dad like?
You go first, Wahadi.
This is what's real important to know about my dad. Like he to me, he doesn't really just represent like relation and a relative. He represents the ideology of a Black man from a certain point in time. My father is truly the embodiment of hip hop. He was born and raised in the South Bronx. He came along at the time that it was being fostered. He grew up without his father. He grew up in all the conditions that creates the experience of being a Black male in America that we attach so strongly to. And so when I was younger, I didn't really understand that. And all I really saw was this very cold, calculated person in certain ways, because he was really a street guy. A lot of people ask me all the time, they say, what is it that makes these young guys grow up and then they all want to be thugs? Because very few of them really knew any. real gangsters. Like very few really knew any. That's the reason why they follow that route. But my father, like he was the real deal through and through. And one of the big misconceptions about people like that is that they don't have good hearts, that they don't have, you know, he was like the coldest dude ever, but he was also the most sensitive guy ever. There's like stories about my father, like doing like stuff that you would see only in movies, you know, like dressing up in clown suits and beating people up because they called him a clown, you know, showing up with a baseball bat and a clown suit and beating the crap out. He was that type of guy. But then at the same time, he was the guy who you wouldn't hear anything from him. But if it was your birthday, he would show up with this weird gift, like here are coconuts from like Trinidad and Tobago or something. Like, what are you talking about? He was that type of guy. You know, he was that type of guy, but he was also the guy that instilled work ethic and hustle. And the fact that like working for anyone else is a huge risk, and you always have to be focused on, you know, your independence in that way.
I agree. I agree. So my father moved to Spring Valley, which is a little up north from the city, and met my mom. And they got pregnant with me. My mom was 16. My father was 17. And the whole town knew my father. My father's Carl Allen Jr., Carl Francis Allen Jr., but his nickname was Jody. So growing up, I was, oh, that's Jody's daughter. Oh, that's Jody's daughter. Oh, that's Jody's daughter. And so the story that I heard was that my father and my uncle robbed a local bank in Spring Valley. And back then, when African-American males would do something, an alternative to jail would be they send you to the military. Mm-hmm. So my father went to the Marines. And so he was gone when I was growing up as an adolescent, or as a child. But I had this huge baby book that my mom kept full of pictures of me, my dad, us, and the outfits that my father would wear was way beyond his time and that time. And so he was definitely beyond his time. They told me that he had a militant group and that it was a bunch of guys that followed him. They used to march and step in downtown Spring Valley, and that, you know, my father was a hustler and that he just was kind of ruling the town. But coming from the Bronx and now you're coming to a suburb, I can see how he could easily, you know, persuade people. Because my father was very persuasive, very persuasive. Yeah. And then later on, after he came out of the military, and my mom had to go away for some years, and so he came to get me, and that's when I established the relationship outside of the pictures. So my father was a very highly intellectual person. He did have a big heart, but he just was always into something. I think my aunt said he was a cat, but he had 9 lives. How many times Dad got shot? 9? Did he get shot 9 times?
He got shot 8 times. He got hit in the head with an axe. He got cut. Some guys kidnapped him one time.
He jumped out the window of the car.
He was in the backseat of the car. They had his hands duct taped, and he thrusted his head through the back windshield, rolled over on a bridge, dived off the bridge into the water, and swam to shore. Yeah. Yeah, that made the newspaper. That one made the newspaper.
Yeah.
A lot of people would just literally attribute all that to him, but I realize now it's probably like Marine Corps training more than anything. It's probably what that was, and then just not wanting to die. You know what I mean? But yeah.
And this is the same guy who would hit the lotto or hit the jackpot at the casino and then and then come back with nothing because he wouldn't give it all away to all the neighborhood and the friends.
Wow. And what was his birthday?
Well, his birthday, if you ask him, his birthday is October 31st. But his birth certificate says the 1st, but my Aunt Marty November 1st, but my Aunt Marty can confirm that he was born before midnight and he's sticking to it.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's celebrated on both days. Like somebody like a true New Yorker would. He celebrated both days.
So the funny thing about that is my birthday is also October 31st. I've also been shot and stabbed and thrown out the window, kicked down the stairs. Like I've been through. So I'm listening to this. I'm like, wow, this shit sound familiar.
Remember what I said in the beginning? He's the embodiment of that. He's it's crazy. Like the things that he used to tell me, the stories he used to say, and then like, I'll listen to like a Jay-Z album, or I'll watch a documentary and you hear the exact same thing, except for you think about the fact that he's a part of that generation where it was happening first and in real time. It wasn't a part of a thing where people was like, oh yeah, that's what we're gonna do because that's what people did. Mm-hmm. He was a part of that generation that experienced it first, crack cocaine. He was a part of that generation that experienced it first. Mm-hmm. A lot of different things he saw first, so sort of unique when you think about it.
Yeah. When I was young, there was the biggest thing that was running around in the city. I was born in the 70s, early 70s, right? And the biggest thing was running around at that time is the heroin epidemic. Heroin was everywhere. And so by the time I was really old enough to understand what these people not in the street were doing, turned around the corner and then became the crack epidemic. Yeah. And what I try to tell a lot of people is that I have friends who actually were pretty much homeless because of that. Yeah. And I had to watch friends' parents jump out of third floor windows and hear about men messing up money and having to drink battery acid. And I try to tell people, my Uncle Melvin was killed. Somebody hit him with a machete and it ended up hitting some organs. They hit him from the back. And I try to tell people that if you actually live and you see that stuff every day, you don't necessarily want to be a part of it, but you almost involved without being involved.
Yeah.
Because now that you've seen it, it's this image that's stuck there, and it's like, okay, well, if I'm going to be on any end of this, I'm not going to be on that end. I'm going to be on this end of it. And you kind of develop this kind of, it's just this attitude that, no, this is how it's going to be. So I'm going to live this way, or I'm going to at least make this appear to be this way. And I think that's why a lot of people, they glorify that without having to actually live it because they've seen it or heard it. Yeah. It's nothing to wake up and be like, yeah, so-and-so cousin got shot, or, the police beat this guy up. Like, I watched that as a little kid. So, I mean, Pops was a warrior, bro. I mean, what you gonna say? He was about that life. That's how they say it, right?
Yeah. He was definitely about that life.
But one of the things that was really, really amazing about him was that he was also about facilitating consciousness. Look, I mean, look at our names. I was born in 85. My sister was born. What year were you born, Venus?
75.
Forgive me for accent online like that, Venus.
You're fine. You're fine.
But here's the thing. My sister's name is Venus. And a lot of people, when they think of that, it'll probably take them, back to Rome and Greece, and that's where they stopped with it. But the original Greek Venus, of course, we know is in Egypt. We know that's where they got it from. So he was conscious enough when he did that. My name, Wahadi, it being not Arabic, but Aramaic. That's the language that Christ would have spoke, know. And so he made sure that we had no choice but to be awake. We were so set apart. And the things that he couldn't rectify in his own life, he attempted to give us a map or a path, at least to reach for, So
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. No,
he was woke before it was cool to be woke, before it was, and we had to endure that. I know I had to endure it. I'm pretty sure Venus had the same experience, because at the time when everybody was walking around with like the Nike checks in their fade and everything, I had like braids in my head, and the kids was always trying to cut the braids out of my head and make them, so it was like, now everybody has dreads, and I'm like, yeah, I did that when I was in like first grade. I know what that's about, but at the same time, I'm trying to get this application through real quick. So, But yeah, he made sure we stayed intact.
Yeah. There was my mom. So I was born and raised in the Nation of Islam, and so my birth name is Daoud, which is an African Arabic spelling of David from the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been taught that you give children a name that gives them, their pathway. And so a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people don't get that. We go with trendy names and don't know the meaning of it. And I'll say that to say this. My brother, his name Raheem, and every Raheem I know has had some trouble in their lives. But if their name was Abdul Rahim, which means so Rahim means merciful. It means most merciful. But when we put Abdul Rahim, it acknowledges as the higher power, God being the most merciful, and you being, you're being second to that.
Yeah.
And so Rahims are always in trouble. Abdul Rahims are the most pleasant people you've ever met. And my brother's heart is so big, he just can't get out of trouble. And just can't stay away from it. Finds them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So names are very, very important.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
As I say, you just dropped a jewel there for your listeners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have, even if you pick, so my poet name, Jah is short for Jahi, which is the African word for dignity. And so the vibrations in the word Jah is powerful. Jah meaning not necessarily the God, but you know what I'm saying, in a sense it is that. And so when you say it, the vibration that it gives off is still empowering. It empowers you. It also allows you to, you acknowledge that there is a higher being when you say it. So everything was for a purpose with me. So I don't just do things just because. Well, some things just because. It's not about me. So let me ask you this. Favorite artists. Who's your top 5 favorite artists?
Music.
It doesn't matter. Music. It could be music. It could be a celebrity that's an actor, whatever. Just your top 5.
Top 5?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go with Barry White.
Okay.
I'm going to go with James Brown. I'm going to go with Yellow Man. I'm going to go with Buju Banton. And then I'm going to have to go with Miles Davis. You didn't give me enough slots. You didn't give me enough slots.
I know. And that's why I asked that, because it's so many that everybody tried to cram in there, but it's the ones that come to the mind first that you be like, yeah.
I'm an old head, so Earth, Wind, and Fire is Muddy Waters, John Coltrane.
Yeah.
That's just those, but those I will listen to now forever and over and all day, not get tired of them.
Got you. Well, Howdy, what you think? What you got?
That's a tough one for me. So I'm gonna represent first. I gotta represent first. I'm Rakim. The 18th Letter album is an essential album for me when I need building, right? And then I was raised on the Blueprint 1. A lot of people could say what they want to say about it, but at the same time, that's where a lot of my motivation, came from, was that album waking me up to the fact that like there's a process to unfolding. So there's that. So Jay, of course. Probably after that, I'm gonna take you in a different direction. Like Venus said, Miles Davis. I'm more of a John Coltrane fan.
Come on.
One of the reasons why is because so much of the purpose in his music was about bringing everybody together, the whole entire planet on a whole, and so for me, I resonate with not necessarily just the music, but his mission, and the fact that he gave himself over to higher consciousness to accomplish that mission. Gustav Graves, this is classical music. He's got an album called The Planets, and it reminds me of Stevie Wonder's album, The Secret Life of Plants, except for it was like in the 1930s or 40s that it was created.
Wow.
So, like if you ever want to listen to some classical music that'll set you in a different space, Gustav Graves, The Planets is amazing.
I need to hear that. I love classical music, but go ahead.
And then after that, Bob Marley for me. I was a beach bum when I lived on the coast. I was in Destin every other weekend whenever I would come in from my hitches. So Bob Marley became a staple for me and my wife sitting on the beach. So his music is healing. And he's the only person to use an art form like that to gain independence for his country. So that's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Did I give you 5? Is that fine? I
I
think
don't know, but you get one more because Rakim goes in the category by himself.
he goes in the category by himself.
Yeah. When they say top 5 MCs, I say first of all, Rakim is by himself. You can't label anybody with Rakim, so you get at least one more.
Kendrick.
You like Kendrick Lamar?
Yeah, I like Kendrick. I like Kendrick because, Kendrick is like a more heated version of Kanye in the sense that he's pushing in different directions. But I like Kendrick just because lyrically, just his breaking down of the word niggas on the To Pimp a Butterfly album is brilliant. The origin of the word nigga, that's just, no one's doing that. No one's touching that on that level.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I've not gotten into Kendrick Lamar stuff because when I hear him coming from New York City, there's a Kendrick Lamar in every corner. I think the thing about it is he was willing to go against the grain and he made it. So I respect that totally. Like I don't say he's whack or nothing like that. I just haven't gotten into his music. But I want to get into it because a lot of people talk, heavily about him, and I want to look like, to be honest with you, even and I'm not a fan of his at all. Lil Wayne's lyrical content is amazing. Like his lyrical breakdown, if you break it down, it's dope. Yeah. I don't listen to him. I don't like his stuff, but at the same time, listen, I went to a workshop and they actually broke down his lyrics, and I was like, wow, he's pretty deep. So I need to take time to get into Lamar because I haven't. But what I think the thing that really pushed me away from him is what he did for the Black Panther album. Like I think that was just whack. Like, the whole Black Panther soundtrack was just, it was whack. Like I
didn't even listen to it. I've only listened to 2 albums. One is the Mad Kid, Good City album.
Okay.
Good Kid, Mad City. I can't remember. And To Pimp a Butterfly is a good album. In the album, he's having a conversation with Pac the whole time.
Okay.
Just the art. You remember AT Aliens?
Mm-hmm.
It's got that level of creativity behind it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I always took big over Pac.
Same here.
Yeah. I felt like, don't get me wrong, if we're going, Big just had a different bringing to it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Pac is whack, but I always tell people like this: if you're gonna compare the two, if it comes up in a conversation, who's better, Big or Pac? Biggie had 2 albums, and Pac had like 25 freaking albums. If it's even a question, I already know who the winner is. If my 2 add up to your whole 25, I'm going for that.
Here's the difference though between Big and Pac that I think people err in their comparison. So one of the places that they err in their comparison is that they don't look at it vibrationally. Mm-hmm. Pac had music that was meant to elevate and build. Mm-hmm. Biggie made music for gangsters, and that is what it is. It's a different vibration, and I think at a certain time you can vibe with it, but as you get older, like you start listening to Biggie, like then you start being like, man, Biggie, that was sort of embarrassing. Like, but then Pac was the same way towards the end, and I think initially that's what caused him his life, but. When you think about that, Pac was vibrationally a different artist. I think he probably did more to push the art form forward. Yeah. I think Biggie did more to open the art form up to the fact that, this was a transitional space for people who didn't have a skill set. Or their own skill set would get them in trouble.
Yeah.
And Biggie solidified that we could take these stories and turn it into consumable content.
Yeah.
Whereas Pac was actually embodied, even though he was a rapper, he was embodying what hip means to understand, hop means to move forward. So understand progress. That was the whole goal. So I think as far as hip hop is concerned, Pac would be considered the better hip hop artist, but Biggie is probably the better MC.
That's a dope concept right there. I'm glad it's recorded because I wouldn't remember how to say that later on. And I can go back. So I'm telling you now, I'm stealing that. I've always gave Pac his credit though.
Yeah,
his credit, but I just felt like if some artist can say, instead of me saying I'm the shit, he said I got techniques dripping out my butt cheeks, sleep on my stomach so I don't fuck up my shit.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't care what. You can't give me a pop metaphor that's gonna even come close to that out of all his albums. And so with the lyrical content, I had to always lean towards big. And it's like, oh, that's just because you from New York. Well, where was Tupac born?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Where was Michael Jordan born? Even though I don't like Michael Jordan, but that's a whole nother conversation. Venus, you have something that you want to share?
Meaning like my poem?
Oh yeah. We got like 14 minutes. I want to make sure you get it in if you're sharing.
Yes. So
on the spot, but you know.
Yeah. So my brother and I both have prepared a poem and a tribute to our father.
Right.
And also I wanted to do a poem because you've been asking me to be on the show. You and your brother have a wonderful relationship. I love to see you both interact with each other. You both are brilliant. And so when you asked me to come on the show, I was like, okay, when, how, what do I talk about? Because I'm a clinician, and so I'm a licensed therapist. I'm a compliance officer, so I'm constantly writing grants, helping people with accreditation, doing business startup. I've probably opened up over 200 companies. And so I'm having a change of career. So I'm actually learning, I'm trying to move into wealth. I'm doing well for myself, but I would like to make money when I sleep. So I'm going to use what I have and be smart. And I'm going to create things where someone can just purchase how to start up a mental health agency. So they can it could be 2 a.m. They can get it with a toolkit where they can buy the policies and procedures or the forms, and they can watch me tell them what to do, from startup to 5 years. And so I'm going to start doing things a little smarter. And so I have to change my writing. And so when you're a clinician, we have to write long, or else we will have to pay the money back to the insurances. When you're writing policy and legislations, it's long. And so I've been following the poetry group and doing haikus and stuff like that. And so I'm trying to retrain my brain on how to write so I can, hey, DJ Pooh, my son is in here. And so I thought it would be creative because you and your brother are poets, that I have my brother on my birthday on the show and we both do a poem. So mine is longer. However, coincidentally, and his is shorter, but it's brilliant, but they both tie together. So I'm going to go first. So then when you hear his, you'll kind of learn a little bit more about our father. So this is my first poem, so forgive me if I stumble. So this is called Reincarnation. I heard intriguing stories of you before I met you. The images of you and I in my baby book matched the town's stories. My mother and family shared great memories of you. As an adolescent, I often wondered, if you were so great, why haven't I met you yet? When it was necessary, you came to get me. The message was sent up north. If my mother wasn't free to see of my whereabouts, no one else would but you. So in a new state with a whole new family, I went. They knew me well and shared many stories that led me from New York to Mississippi. From Catholic to Muslim, I found a middle ground with spirituality and the elements of nature among the many religions, safe from suicide. Now a teen, I learned and saw many of your darkest burdens, no longer secrets. I hated the 2 a.m. knowledge drills. I hated the books you forced me to read. I hated your critiques on how I dress. I hated your questions before giving me the answers. I hated you reminding me how I got my name. And I hated the high expectations you placed upon me. I felt like I was being hazed, and I haven't even made it out of middle school yet. Knowledge, 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 Venus. Wisdom, 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 Venus. Understanding, 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 Venus. Well, Dad, at 46 years old today, with 3 college degrees, a host of credentials, professional license and certifications, and my name engraved on the monument at Howard University for my community service. The most beautiful understanding of this all is I have your swag. I have your humor. I see things through the same complex perspectives you have. I live with some of the same burdens. However, I am determined. I am resilient. I am dedicated. I am learning to be less stubborn. I am the life student. I am a great resource provider. I have a greater heart to help others as you did. I have gained great experiences. And your son, my brother, Wahadi, continues to ensure this. I am wise, blessed assurance. I've turned out to be the greater you manifested through me. Yours truly, Venus Ebony, the Black Goddess of Love.
Beautiful.
Come through.
And that's that piece.
Okay, Venus. I'm scared of you. Scared of you. Oh, she took my master class too. For y'all that don't know, I put it through a workshop too. So yeah. I'm sorry, it's not about me. It's not about me. All right, Wahadi, it's your turn, brother.
Called Righteous in Rebellion. He tried, but he fell. Prayed, but he was lost. Sought heaven, but was made hell. Even still, my father was an ember, resilient, glowing in the dark, a heart that life broke. Righteous in rebellion, hoping for a moment to ignite a flame. Hebrews 12:17. We shine bright for you. Amen.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So how does that feel? Right?
Well, it was weird because my brother sent me his, and I had wrote mine, and mine was long, and I kept trying to shrink it. But when he sent me his, I said, you said everything that I said, but just shorter." It's sort of like the gift and the curse. And for him to write that, and for me to write that separately, but for it to have the same vortex, so to speak, then I know that we both are our father's children, and that we both experienced him in some of the same ways.
You see, that's my brother Witz Wahadi right there. So yeah. So what's really amazing about that is it's kind of like with Witz and I, like I'll write the longer poem and he'll sum it up with a shorter poem with the heavy metaphors and all that. So I'm sitting here like, wow, like y'all don't even understand. Like that's just super dope for me. And my mom is giving y'all snaps too.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you.
So how's that feel for you, bro?
It's in masonry we teach that you're balancing two energies at all times. For me, this is symbolic. Here's me, and I'm the male. I'm that out there energy protruding out into the world, and then there's my sister, master of the universe, and she's the other thing. And so it's amazing to see the balance of perspective arriving at the same place, and to understand that suffering really is a gift. They teach that in Buddhism, that it's through suffering that we move closer to God and we move closer to Godhood. And so for me, that's what it is. It's realizing that the hardship of what I received in a parent was really the blessing that prepared me for living an upright life. So, so I'm grateful for my father, regardless of how painful some of the memories are. I'm grateful because I see the opposite result in the lives of others when I look at it.
When I studied world religion in school, our ancestors taught that we choose our parents.
Yes.
And
yes.
Yeah. So when we think about that, you make it through every day knowing that you chose the two people on this planet to give you what you need to make it through those moments. So if your story is already written, you had to pick the right people to give you what you need to make it through. And I think that's amazing. And that is, y'all actually summed that up with everything you said here today. You chose your parents to give you everything that you needed. And here we are. Amazing moment. Amazing moment. We got about 3.5 minutes left. So if y'all want to leave the people in anything, that's fine. We got about 3.5 minutes for us to sum it up.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having us on the show. I just want to tell my brother I love you.
I love you more.
And I just want to I love my mom too, but she gets it all the time. My father's not here with us. And so although he set high expectations for the both of us, at the time we couldn't understand it. But now we both are the beasts that we are. So we are what he did not execute, he manifested through us. We didn't have enough time, but my brother has some really serious high credentials and is involved.
Bring it back. It ain't no big. I can bring it back another day. We'll set it up.
Something.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah, okay. Some things that is deep and he's my father reincarnated. So well, Heidi will still call me and say, well, do you know about this? And I'm like, no, I don't know about this, but he's very well read and he's had great opportunities. And he works at the University of Nebraska and he's holding a great position as a young African-American male. Not only can he cook, but his wife is a beast. She's a baker. He met her at the same school. So you got him a sous chef and then you got her as a baker. It's kind of rough leaving their house.
So what I'm saying is, why don't I just fly to where you at? We just do the show from the kitchen.
Right.
Now that would be dope.
Yeah.
That would be dope.
What I would like to do is if you can send me 2 dates that you are available.
Okay.
We can do another, and it could be soon as next week. That's fine, and I'll bring you on, and then we can kind of go through stuff that you want to talk about. If you tell me in advance what you definitely want to talk about, we can do that. Or I could just let it set off. They know who you are now, and just kind of let you just run with some things. So we could definitely do that.
Okay,
definitely.
I'm gonna drop this here just to wet people's beak and kind of get them thinking and doing research. The fourth industrial revolution is here. It's here with us. The Internet of Things is here with us. The monetization of debt is here with us.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be focused on this. They need to be looking at this. 2021 is a big year for it. So just those few things, I'm just going to drop that, and anybody who wants to go and look that up on their own, and then when we talk, I can elaborate on it. That's important, though. Friday
might be open for me because I had a guest that was coming that's going to be traveling. So Friday is open, and that works for you. We could probably knock that down on Friday. And you can just do your thing. I'm good with that. If you're open. Okay.
He has a lot of great information. He talked to me last night about strategizing.
Yeah.
And a lot of poets.
Blue Ocean strategy. Yeah, they need that.
Maybe
a lot of poets.
Maybe we need to do it outside of this time frame in case we need more than an hour.
Yeah, that could work.
Okay, and we'll talk about that, and I'll set that up so that way because I have an hour here because that's another show that comes on this network that I'm on, but. Yeah. You can set it up, and so that way, if you need more than an hour, we do it. I know Thursday nights we do another show. Me and my brother AJ, we do a good show, and that might even be a good time for you to come on Thursday night at 7. So if you're available,
I'm actually meeting with a journalist this Thursday, but we can do Friday. No. I'm already committed. I'm just saying already. No. But maybe Friday may work.
Okay.
But Friday is also my date night with my wife, so let me check.
Oh, no. I want no beef. I want no smoke. We'll go next week. My behind. You did it. I wanted my lobster, Yeah. But we'll definitely set it up, and let's try to do it off of the morning hour so we can have more time.
Okay.
And, like I said, it's always on YouTube, so we can always go back and share it and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let me close this out. Listen, thank y'all so much for being here, joining this time with us. It's not very often I get a brother and sister combo as heavy as this one, and it was an amazing vibe. We didn't get to get through everything we wanted to, but it was still super dope. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, all the family and friends that came and tuned in, all of my regulars. I love y'all to pieces. Trust me, you have everything you need today to be amazing. We're born with all the amazingness you need to make it through this day. I challenge you today to be better than you were yesterday. But it all starts with you learning how to fall in love with the person in the mirror. If you begin to love that person in the mirror, I guarantee you this world will learn your love language and understand how you need and deserve to be loved because you are worthy of such. So y'all be good. I will see y'all tomorrow, same time, same channel. Hold it down. Peace and love. Venus, y'all hold on for 1 second.